Damn, I ain't seen Meek Millie in a week. 5 shows made 3 million a week. You are now looking at the best, the elite. Too bad you can't go and invest in critiques.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aquia for those of you who are new, and for those of you who aren't, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a sew-in tutorial and hair review of this lovely sew-in that I did myself. You guys, I did this myself. Do you see this? Do you see this? I did it myself. I'm actually pretty shocked at how decent this came out. I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10. Honestly, okay, maybe a 10 out of 10. Because on my level, for me to do this and like it's flat, that's major. But let me humble myself. I'll give myself like a 9 out of 10. There's always room for improvement. But yeah, I'm talking too much, but I'm gonna try to make this video as detailed as possible. But yeah, I'm just gonna be showing you guys how I got this sew-in and also sharing my review of this hair. queenweavebeauty sent me this hair. It's their kinky straight hair. And yeah, I'm gonna be telling you guys my thoughts on this hair and showing you guys how you can achieve this look at home. So if you're interested, keep on watching.
Okay, so first we're going to start with the unboxing of the hair. Like I said, this hair is from queenweavebeauty. They sent me 4 bundles of the kinky straight bundles. The lengths are 224s and 222. So 222 inches and 224 inches. I don't know why that's so hard for me to say, but these are the bundles straight out of the packaging. As you can see, it's very much kinky straight. It's just very thick, like it's like your natural hair but blown out. It does have a lot of crinkles, but we're gonna straighten all that out later. From my last video, I think some of you guys wanted to see my braid pattern, so this is my braiding pattern. For the sew-in, I'm doing a side part. My braids aren't perfect. I could have done better. Honestly, I did these braids days before my actual sew-in, so these are slept on braids, so not too much on them. They look a little messy. They're not perfect, but as long as your foundation is flat, I feel like that's all you need. Moving on to the sewing net, so we're gonna be using a weaving net for this sew-in. If you want to do your own sew-in, I'd highly recommend using a weaving net because it's just going to allow you to sew more tracks to your head and it's going to have less tension on your actual natural hair. If you learned anything from this video, definitely purchase a sewing net. So now I'm going to be sewing the net onto my head. When you sew the net onto your head, you want to sew everywhere but your leave out, obviously. To secure the net, you're going to sew around the perimeter. So every braid that's at the perimeter of your head is where you're going to sew the net onto. When sewing the net onto your head, you want to make sure that you're not sewing as close as possible because we're going to go back in with 4 bundles and sew all those bundles into our head. We don't want too much tension. So you guys can see I'm just sewing the perimeter and I'm taking lots of space. Sorry, it's a little out of focus, but I'm just taking lots of space between the next part that I sew and just making sure that the net is securely attached to my head. After I sew the perimeter and where my leave out starts and ends, I'm gonna cut everywhere that I didn't sew, and that will leave me with a fully sewed weaving net on my head. So once again, when you're finished, you just want to cut everywhere that you didn't sew and you want to tie the knot so that it's secure so that the net won't fall off your head. Once we have that done, we're gonna begin sewing our first bundle to our head. When I first sew a new bundle, I like to double it, especially if I'm starting in the back or in the middle of my head. It just makes the sewing time much faster, and that way I'm able to fit more bundles on my head. I first start by taking my needle and thread, and I like to punch through the weft when I'm first starting a new bundle. It just adds extra security for me. I know some people don't like sewing through the weft, but just to start the bundle, I like going through the weft so everything is secure. That way I just know that my thread is secure within the bundle and it's not coming out. So when we start our first bundle, we're gonna take our needle and just poke through one of the holes in the sewing net, and then take our thread and wrap it around our needle and pull it through. Hopefully that makes sense. You don't have to wrap the thread around the needle. I just do it as an extra security method. It adds an extra knot after you pull the needle through. Like, it keeps saying security, 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 but that's my main concern when I'm doing my own sewing. I just want everything and all the tracks to be secured. I apologize if it's a little too dark. I'm just taking my thread and my needle and I'm poking through the holes of my sewing net and pulling that through. And when you're starting off, it's gonna be a little difficult, especially with that first bundle, because you literally cannot see. Just make sure to follow the line that you started so your bundles are straightly sewn onto your head. But yeah, sewings are very repetitive. All you're doing is poking the needle through the holes of the net and pulling it through. Poking the needles through the hole, through the net, and pulling it through. Like I said before, if you want to secure it, you can poke the needle through the holes in the net, wrap the thread around the needle, and pull it through. When it comes to flipping the bundle over, sometimes I like to poke the needle through the weft just to secure it. Once again, we're all about security over here, just so it's secure and it's not falling down. Still a beginner at this. My main focus is adding security. So when I flip over the bundle to start a new line, I like to poke through the weft and then poke through the weaving net and then pull it through. But yeah, once we do that, we're just gonna go back to sewing regularly again. Another thing, I know some people like to differentiate whether to sew under or sew over. Honestly, when it comes to me, I do a variation of both. When I lay some tracks, sometimes I sew over. When I lay some tracks, sometimes I sew under. I'm not sure which one is right or wrong. That's just what I do. So I don't think too much about that. I just focus on making sure that every time I sew, it's secure. So once again, sewing it through and wrapping the thread around the needle and pulling it through, that's gonna provide extra security however you sew. If you sew over, if you sew under, if you sew left from right. But no, for real, but when it comes to sewing over or under, just do what works best for you. Like I said, I like to mix match. Every time I finish a bundle, I like to knot it multiple times. And this is like if you're tying a shoe, you know how when you tie a shoe to knot the laces, it's basically like that, but with one string. And in this case, the string is the thread. So I just like to knot it multiple times. As you guys can see, like I do not play. I knot it as much as I can until I can't no more to make sure that everything is secure. Once again, how many times have I said secure in this video? Oh my gosh. But seriously, like I just knot it multiple times before I cut the thread and make a new one, just so that everything is tight and the bundles are not falling down. After sewing 2 bundles onto my head, I decided to work on my side part. For the side part, I took one of the 22-inch bundles and started to sew it along where I wanted the hair to lay. So for this, I did not double weft it just because it's gonna be in the front of my head and I didn't want it to look too thick or too bulky. So I just started with a single track, as you can see, and I poked the needle through the weft and started sewing as normally. And with this single track, I'm just gonna continue sewing it along until I meet the track in the back of my head, and then I'll continue the U shape. So as you're sewing, you're gonna see that you're making a U shape. And once I reach the other side of my head, I'm gonna flip the track over. I'm going to continue sewing the track back and forth until I reach the top. All right, let me backtrack for just a second. So as you all see here, you can clearly see the U shape. That's where I'm talking about. So you're going to keep going in a U until you reach the top. When you reach the top, you're gonna get to a certain point on your head where you're gonna know, okay, it's now time to stop the double tracks and move on to the single tracks. When you reach that point, you're gonna find yourself cutting the tracks. Cutting the tracks, I know some people don't like to do it. Some people like to sew double tracks all the way through. If you're a professional and you sew very well, I feel like you can finesse that. But if you're a beginner, it's okay if you have to cut the tracks as you're getting to the top. It's just gonna make it easier for you, and it's also gonna ensure that your sewing is flat as possible. As you guys can see here, I've reached the top and I'm just sewing the last track onto my head. And I know you guys can't really see the net, but it's there. So all I'm doing is going under the track with my needle, going through the net and pulling that needle through, and then repeating that process all over again. You want to keep doing this until you reach the end of the track. And once you reach the end of the track, you can cut the track off because you're finished. And lastly, in order to secure the end of you sewing the last track, all you want to do is tie the knot repeatedly. Like I said before, every time I finish off a track, I like to tie the thread in a knot like I'm tying a shoe. And I just do that repeatedly multiple times so I know that the thread is secure and won't unravel. And then I cut off the excess remaining thread. Once I'm finished, this is the remaining amount of hair that I have left. I used the majority of all the 4 bundles. Now we're gonna move on to straightening the hair and then we'll be back for the final look. Hey y'all, I'm back again. I just wanted to pop in and talk about the process of straightening this hair. You guys, this hair straightened so beautifully. One of the big things that I look for in kinky straight hair is the ability to straighten it easily. Because ever since I started wearing kinky straight hair, oh my gosh, sometimes the crinkles do not go away, and that could be annoying because it's like, I get, like, you know, the whole natural look, but sometimes you want a silk press, like, you know, sometimes you want a nice sleek look, and there's nothing wrong with that. I really love that with this hair you can have the best of both worlds, so you don't have to worry about straightening and frying your hair every single day because it still has lots of texture. But when you straighten it, you can get a nice natural press from the hair. Maybe not as silky, but honestly I feel like if you run your flat iron through it a couple of times, it's gonna get there. Since the recording of this video, I've been wearing this hair for about 2 weeks now, but I will be doing a 1-month review on my TikToks, so if you want to see the progress of this hair and the sewing on me, make sure to check out my TikTok. I'll have it displayed on the screen. But we're nearing to the end of the video. I cut some layers in it just so it can look a bit more seamless and so that my natural hair can flow with it better. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I really am in love with this sewing. I'm in love with this hair. If you want to purchase this hair, the link will be in the description, so make sure to check that out. But yeah, I am feeling myself, so apologies for the longer than usual video montage. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of this hair and the style on me. Let me know if this sewing video was helpful. This was my first detailed one, so I was kind of nervous. I hope I was able to relay the information as smoothly as possible. I will have a length check at the end, so stay tuned to see how long it is. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Love you.
And the ghost, no, she's trick or treat. I know they on E, but I don't give a F though. Bad attitude, but my is the best though.